Good morning. I don't have a watch. About 9:10. Hold on 2 seconds. Let me just get my coffee. I promised you that I would show you my home gardens and how they're doing. And I think today is a good day. Before I start setting up my second green stock, which I plan to put in the back garden, I thought, let me show you what I've got. The good, the bad, and the ugly. For new subscribers, hello and welcome. All subscribers, thank you for hanging about. Boring though it might sometimes be. Anyway, let me show you what I've got. This is my north garden. And as you can see, we've got an area that looks so pretty and one can easily pretend that this is all that there is. But then I've got an area that's rather messy that I'm going to try and organize today. I've got plants that are going into my new original green stock. So I'm hoping that they'll do well in there. And these planters are just going to be for flowers because unless it's the mix of soil I used, I find that the only thing I can really grow in there well is the spring onions and garlic. So next year, well, this autumn, I'll be putting a lot of garlic in them since it seems to do so well. But other than that, it will be flower beds. The tulips are done, but I'm waiting for the leaves to die back. Then I'll move the planter out of the way until it's their season again, when they start peeking out again. And over here in this corner, we've got a cherry tree called Stella sitting in one of my bins in which I did bokashi. And so it's sitting in bokashi happiness. It had some cherries, but I think the birds have eaten them all this year. So, but I'm not worried. I like the look of it. One day there will be enough cherries for all of us, so that's nothing to worry about. Oh, let me have a sip of tea. And then we come on to my back garden tomatoes. Despite the fact that it's northeast facing, I still managed to get enough light that I can grow tomatoes in here. This tomato plant is a mystery plant. I have no clue what plant it is. But it's doing well within one of my self-watering systems. Old Star with a 30-litre pot. And then over here, we've got another tomato plant, which is a mystery. But we are fruiting, as you can see. And it's looking rather gorgeous. Unlike these other ones, this one I didn't wrap around in the soil. I didn't bury it deep, and I was worried because the stem was so thin and spindly, but now it's strengthened and it's growing really well. So that's doing absolutely fantastic. This one is my banana legs. The banana legs was buried deep, which is why it's a lot shorter. And as you can see, we have pretty decent sized tomato plants on there, which are growing well. And we've got even more flowers over there. So I just watered everything. Despite the fact that they're in the self-watering system, I wanted to top up the reservoirs, but the reservoirs are still pretty full from when I last topped them up 2 weeks ago. Or is it 3 weeks ago now? This one, I have no clue what plant this is. Oh yeah, it's a sweetheart. It's got a much softer stem. As a plant, it's softer, but it's beautiful. It's thriving. We're starting to get our flowers in there. We've got more flowers coming up there. So I think we'll be producing some fruit. And this one here is a tomato shimmer. And the tomato shimmer is got flowers as well, all the way down. And these are little baby tomato shimmers that I pulled off and put in here. And they just need potting up now that they've grown up. Okay, so this is my north-facing garden, which we tend to sit in the morning because the sun starts off on here. One thing I have changed up is I've added one of my front garden self-watering system, solar powered. I've set up in here. And what I'm going to do is when I put the green stock up, the green stock is going to take priority over these guys, and I'll have to buy another one for here when I have the money. Okay, let's go. Okay, my Front garden still needs a bit of work and a bit of better organization. It's not being conducive to nice sitting in terms of family, so that's something I have to work on. Probably that's the work I'll do today. I did a bit of work the other day and it helped, but we need to do better. I'll start in this corner, which is my composting corner. What I want to do is I want to transfer that large bin there, which I was using for watering, down to this corner here and make it another composting bin. And that's a big job because I need to make the holes in it, and knowing me, I want to create something interesting. But this one, Destiny, is doing absolutely fantastic. The worms are happy in there, they have no complaints, and things are breaking down nicely. But I want to be able to have somewhere where I can turn over everything so that we can mix everything up and improve the breakdown of the compost. It doesn't look very nice. I don't even know why I'm showing it to you. Anyway, let's move on. Over here is a tomato plant which came from a shoot that I potted up for someone because I promised someone that I'll get them a tomato plant. So that's going to someone at work. Here we've got, oh God, I'm already sweating. Hey, hold on 2 seconds. I can't even see what I'm looking at. These are my tomatoes, which seem to be doing absolutely fine. I don't tend to bother them much. I just let them do what they want and they seem to get on quite fine. That bin in there is another compost bin. Probably I could use it to turn the other bins over and then put everything back in. So that's another possibility, which might be a good idea because then it means that I keep the other one as a watering system. These fabric pots need to be washed and kept. Here I've set up my little planter seedling trays, and I actually love it because the sun comes from behind me and starts off here. These are Celtus. I don't know if any of you have heard of Celtus. It's a Chinese vegetable, a cross between celery and lettuce, which is supposed to be absolutely delicious. Underneath there we have what is it, Chinese kale, which is still waiting for planting up. Once the planter is set up, it will go up. That's more Chinese kale there. Over here are my baloti beans, which have taken forever to come up, but seem to have come up now that the sun is fully out. So they're looking absolutely gorgeous. These beds, I love them, but they've not been as successful as I want due to the kitty cat issue. So what they're going to become is a flower beds and tomato beds in the summer, I think, because that's the only way I can actually manage them and cope with them. And so at the moment I'm leaving this Chinese kale to flower because it's got very beautiful flowers, and once the seed is set I'll probably take it off and save it all. And in the back we got Swiss chard. That's another one that will probably do well. These are just 2 nasturtium plants. I didn't realize that they trail, and they have gone all over the place. They're pretty, but they've kind of taken over. So they create a border and a boundary which the cat will obviously not be able to get past because it will think that there is nothing in there. But the truth of the matter is that there are plants in there, although they're being mauled by slugs as everyone's plants are. My rose is happy, and I'm thinking of adding another rose in there and making the back a rose section so that we can have roses in the back to look at even in the winter. I was given a dahlia, and that's the safest place I can keep it, just down in there, because slugs are all over. And as you can see, I had a dahlia in there and it was eaten. So there's not much left of it, but I've put slug pellets in there because there's nothing else in there that I need to worry about. And hopefully that will keep it and it will survive and return. Here we have our blueberry plant, which is doing absolutely fantastic. But I think once it finishes fruiting, it's going to go into one of the bigger pots so that it can actually have an enthusiastic life in a bigger space. God, I'm sweating so badly. In the back there, we've got Black Russian. And if any of you watch my videos and actually watch them past a certain point, you have seen me put this in, and it was a spindly, non-existent plant with just about 2 leaves, and now look at it. We've actually got tomatoes on there, so it's doing beautifully. Now you see why I actually try and grow a lot of tomatoes, because they do so well in here. Right, let me show you my favorite part of the garden at the moment, which is my new planter. This is my green stalk leaf, and if you watched my setting up, you saw these little pak choi a week ago. They were tiny little things, and look at them now. They've grown in that time. The flowers are growing, the strawberries are growing, and I even added some of the, I think this was either broccoli or cauliflower, and it came in nicely. Marigolds are looking beautiful. I mean, look at this. We're going to harvest these and eat them because they're really wanting to flower, which is what they were doing before anyway. This tomato plant broke off and we left the stalk in, and already it's bringing out new shoots. I put in some bare root strawberries in the middle of the week, and already they're bringing flowers out. So the green stalk is doing well. I just need to level it, and my fantastic husband told me that you can actually level using the phone. I didn't even know, so that's something I'm going to be working on today. All right, let's turn around. This is gorgeous though, isn't it? I could just look at it all day. This corner here, we have Antirrhinum, which have done absolutely fantastic, and now they're seeding, and I'm collecting all the seed because they were so beautiful. My favorite was the red one, but then red is my favorite color. My mom-in-law loves the white one, and she loves the pink one. So, and we also had this color here. I don't know what color you would call that. But what we're going to do is we're going to get all the seed. She's going to carry some of the seed. I'll keep some of the seed so I can reseed them myself, because they were quite expensive, and I promised myself that I was never buying flowers like that again. But these I will seed myself, and then I can actually grow them in that bed over there at the front of the bed, because they don't grow that tall. And then in the back you can actually have some other type of flower. So with them in place, I think I'll be able to take off this netting thing, which doesn't allow me to open my garden out the way I want. But back to the honeycomb. Look. The honeycomb is doing really well. We got loads of fruit. I was feeling a little bit disappointed by the fruiting, but now it seems to be doing better. I gave them a feed because I don't normally feed my tomatoes, but I thought let me try feeding them to see whether or not they'll do any better. So I gave them some multivitamins, and look at the top. And then here we've got the Rosella, and unfortunately Stella managed to kill the top because I was trying to wrap it round the bamboo stake, and it's very rigid, and so it broke off. So I've planted it somewhere else. The good news is we've got another stalk which is going up, and that will become the main stalk, because this one is going to stop there, but it's going to produce flowers already. And we've also got some fruit in there, as you can see. The Rosella is already producing as well. Now I don't even know what type of tomatoes Rosella produces. I knew that the honeycombs were small, but I didn't know what the Rosellas are like. But all in all, this area I've changed up a little bit, because I had, are they called some type of flower, I've forgotten what they're called, pansies. They were in a fabric pot next to this fabric pot, and it had created a nice haven for slugs. They were sitting in between the two pots, and guess what else was sitting in there? A frog. I was totally and completely petrified by it, and so I've sorted it out so that I don't have anything trying to grow. These carrots have taken forever to get to this stage, so much so that I actually want to move the pot as a whole because I feel like it's taking up space and not doing as well as it should. I feel like this organization needs a bit of improvement. This is sage, which seems to be dying. I don't know why, but more antirrhinum. And we got a couple of garlic stalks which seem like they're going to be coming ready soon. These are some of my garlic from last year which I found sprouting and so replanted. Over here we have a community of plants. We have, this is a honeycomb, that's a rosella shoot, both of which are growing absolutely fine. We've then got an Alicante because last year I had an Alicante and it was absolutely delicious. This year I've got just the 2 plants here because they were a keeper. I have some red mustard, giant leaf. I love it. It's got the best flavor ever. And it looks like it wants to flower, so we're not letting it flower because we like the taste of it. We got nasturtium in here that was put in order to encourage slugs to eat it rather than eating my plants, and it looks to be working because we've got some slug trails there and the fly is being eaten. Got some parsley as well in the same pot and some coriander in the same pot over here. So it's a nice pot, looking gorgeous. Next door we have our successful garlic pot, and we've also got the in-bed composting in there and one in there now as well, and they seem to be doing well. And we've also got an Alicante in the middle of them. These guys look like they're still going strong, so I'm not going to do anything to them until they brown up, and then I'll take them out. So when half the leaves are brown, that is when I'll pull them out because they're still standing strong and happy. My peppers are not doing so good. I've given them a feed. I'm hoping that this will improve matters and give them the strength to survive the attacks from the slugs. That's what we've been having a lot of, is attacks from slugs. So hopefully they'll do better. This dahlia I got from Tesco for £1, and however much it tries, it's flowered once, but it keeps being mullered as well. So poor thing is struggling. Oh, finally, the mulberry bush is finally putting out some shoots just there. Don't know, let me focus. Yeah, so it's putting out some shoots, so it's happy in its new pot. And some of the beans that I put in here are starting to come up. So there's one there, there's one there. So my logic behind putting beans in with all the plants is it's a good way of introducing nitrogen, because beans are nitrogen fixing. So if you put them in, they'll introduce nitrogen into the pots without you having to do any work for them. Right, let's go around. Yeah, my new little planter needs work. I know exactly how I'm going to sort this one out and the one in the back. And when I do, I will show you and explain exactly what it is I've done. But I'm going to set them up with their own self-watering systems so they can work better. This pot is empty, other than having a bean which was being mullered by slugs. And then, funny enough, I put my bits of my hedge trimmings, which had been cut up by the lawnmower, and beans started surviving better. And beside it is a tomato shoot. I don't know what make of tomato shoot it is, but it's doing fine. I seem to also be having some of my peanuts that I planted coming up, so it's doing fine. Over here are my babies who are waiting for my new planter. This is all Chinese kale, and it's going to go into the new planter. We're going to enjoy it once it starts growing. I'll be harvesting the leaves because they're absolutely delicious. I swear to you, this is one of my best vegetables this year. Over here I have got a bit of carnations. The cosmos was eaten, And then this is ranunculus, which has not flowered, but it seems to be hanging on as well, although it's been eaten a lot. My peppers over here are not doing well either, as you can see, but I am hanging on there and hoping that things will improve with time. I keep getting this green stuff like spit on the plants, but I think it's nothing to worry about from what I remember last year. This was one of the pots I set up as a self-watering system and when I showed everyone. And the sweet potato that we planted in there has been silent and static at this point for such a long time. I have no clue what it's doing underneath, but hopefully we'll have some sort of surprise. And then I put this in. I don't know whether this is a cauliflower or a broccoli, but I decided that they were sat over there, you know, doing nothing. So I thought, let me put it in here since the sweet potato was doing nothing. And the other advantage is the sweet potato is growing downwards, the broccoli or cauliflower will grow upwards. So I thought that that's a good way to use a pot. Next to it is another lot of garlic. This one looks like it will be ready soon, but it's not quite ready. And once it's out, we'll have to think what we're going to put in its place. But for now, it's doing absolutely fine. We do have some, I was just sorting out of weeds. Right, we start on the tomatoes over here. Blight Proof Rose Crush. This one is the Buffalo, and this one must be the Fantasia. So these three are my blight proof tomatoes, which I'm, you know, hoping will do something. They seem to be flowering when they're still very short, so I've never grown them, and I bought my seeds from Premier Seeds Direct, so I'd have to find out how tall they grow, but they don't seem to be growing that tall. This year I'm using the Florida Weave to control my tomatoes, and it seems to be working really well. I'm actually loving it, because one of my greatest challenges when my tomatoes start to really thrive is how do I hold them up. But these guys are doing really well, and they all have flowers on them, so we're definitely in for some tomatoes. Behind the peppers on this side, this is an extra honeycomb which I had, so it's growing beautifully there. Next to it we have, what's it called, tomato black. So it's a tomato that produces black tomatoes, obviously that's what it was called, and there appears to be a fruit just here, there, so, and some flowers. So the tomato black is doing well as well. And then here, this looks like a brandy wine. Based on the fact that I've got another brandy wine in the back, I've decided this is a brandy wine. It's no longer a mystery, and it's also doing really, really well. So I'm really pleased with them. And it's also got a couple of garlics in there, and this one looks like it's producing a scape, so I may have to take that one off, but all of them are doing well. In the back, starting with my seedling corn, I really need to organize myself better. I've got some beetroot, which is going to go into the planter today. I need to water it because it's struggling in there, but it's moving today. And then next to it, this is my sugar snaps, which are also going in my new planter today. So I'll water them, give them their final drink before we move them, and give them something to hang on to. I might even put them in one of the pots and set it up with netting for them to climb up. I've got a dahlia here, grown from seed, 3 dahlias in fact grown from seed, and they're doing fine. I've got some cucumbers over here, and they seem to be doing fine. I've got some, I don't know if it's cabbage or cauliflower, and it's doing fine over here. These aubergines, I have no hope, but they're growing, so we give them a chance. So all those are looking lovely and beautiful. I'm pretty pleased with them. In this pot, we have another Black Russian tomato. And next to the Black Russian tomato, which has actual tomatoes on it, as you can see here, this is a tomato there, 2 tomatoes in fact. We have some peas. These peas have not done as well. I feel like peas grow better once they hit something they can climb on, and I didn't set them up properly, so that's a lesson for next year. They'll do better next year. And as you can see, my Florida weave is working pretty well to hold everything up. So I put this in recently, and I have to be careful to make sure that I don't harm the fruit in the process of tying up the plant. So that's a key thing. This tomato is, let me check, a Tigerella. So this is a Tigerella. I need to prune some of these leaves so that the tomatoes can have some more space. And in the back, we've got more peas over there, and they're doing fine. We tend to eat them as snacks. They don't get into the house, but today I'll do a bit of a harvest because I've got quite a few all over the place, as you can see. And this tomato is Fantasia. So this is another Fantasia, and it's doing fine. It's not moving anywhere much, but I have no idea why that is. So Fantasia is doing well, and behind it we've got garden peas. So that's garden peas, sugar snap on the end. And then on this side we have Manchtu, which has been doing absolutely fantastic, and we've eaten quite a bit of it. So the Manchtu is doing fine. We've also got one garlic spike in there that I put in because I had nowhere to put it. And the tomato plant name I've forgotten, and I don't see the, oh yeah, there it is. This is my Purple Cherokee. So hopefully I'll get at least one Purple Cherokee so I can save some seeds from it and see what they come up as. So that's a Purple Cherokee, and then we got my Brandywine over here. So Brandywine is doing absolutely fantastic as well. It's doing really well, and I've actually put don't know if it's a cabbage or cauliflower plant in there next to it, and it's not complaining. It's still doing fine. We've got flowers here that will be opening up soon, so probably what I'll need to do is oh yeah, and flowers on this one, which is a stalk, but I'm actually going to leave them because apparently with the Florida weave style of holding tomato plants up, you can allow the tomatoes to go a little bit wild without losing control. So yeah, so this is my space over here. This is my tomato alley. The way in my tomato jungle. It's not quite a jungle yet, and it will be a more controlled jungle this year, but it's still a tomato jungle. Right, we move over to this side, and I've got some cosmos in here which hasn't flowered yet. Don't know what it's waiting for, but it hasn't flowered. And then I've got a ranunculus as well, which has not done anything much yet, so that needs doing. A tomato plant which I stuck in here to root just the other day, so it seems to be doing fine. I'll give it about a week, and then I'll transplant it into a pot ready to give away. This is one of my sweet potato slips which fell off my other potato which I put into there, and I was hoping that they would grow enough that we could get veg, but at the moment they're not doing much, so we have hope. This one is a mix of carnations and ranunculus. I'm waiting for it to flower. This was just a case of I don't know where to put the tomato plant. What do I do with it? And so I put it in here, and so that's why it is in here. I think we've got a nest in there since we cut the hedge, because we used to get a lot of birds in the nests nesting in the hedge, and then they had stopped. But I can definitely hear something that sounds like little baby birds fluffing their wings. In here I put a cabbage in the middle, or cauliflower or something, but these garlic did not do well at all, but they'll stay in. There's no harm in it. The dill's gone to seed, and it looks lovely. It's a bit chunky for this planter, but I'm not worried about it. I'll just wait for it, the seeds to form, and then I'll harvest them and resow them so we get more dill, and then I can cut that one out. Strawberries in this planter are doing well this year, and I don't know whether it's because I've set it up with a self-watering system. Let me show you what I mean when I say they're doing well. We've already had harvest from it, and there is more to go. My mum-in-law is sure is going to be coming here and having this one here if she doesn't give it away. But this one is doing well as well. Last year they did not do well, but this year they're doing fantastic. They seem to do well in the bottom planter sections, not in the top planter sections. This pot is empty, nothing much in there, but I'll think of what to put in it other than the garlic. And this one was here when we came into this house more than 16 years ago, and it still comes up every year. I don't know what it's called, but it's doing fine. All the nasturtiums have little seed pods on them. I think I'll collect them and give them to my mum-in-law. We got Mange 2, which is overgrown and needs harvesting today. So today we'll be having Mange 2 greens for lunch, because I've got a lot on here. And we need to make sure that we harvest the ones that are here and the ones that are down there. But really and truly, that's the end of my tour. We've got my garlic and my onions drying in there, with the door slightly open so that they don't cook. But I hope you've enjoyed that, just looking at all the plants that we have. Thank you. I'm off now to do some work, to do some tidying, and to also set up my planter and level this planter as well. Set up my new planter, level this planter, and generally have a happy day. Have a good one. Bye. We're busy harvesting. Well, we've harvested and now we're just prepping, ready to cook. Abasi, it's okay. Oh, I thought you were cutting out the music for me. But obviously, once again, it's not about me, it's about him. But anyway, Amaya and I are just busy prepping. Mange 2 is very, very delicious. These, but anyway, and some peas, we're going to have them with our meal today. Okay, it is way late in the evening, but I thought I'd actually show you how I've actually leveled my planter. And I must say that if you're thinking of getting it, get the rotating base rather than the movable base. This is so much better, much better. And what I did is I've split the deeper planter and put 2 up front, and I've put some Swiss chard in there, and we've also put some beetroot in there. So, oh yeah, and I've also done some sweet peas, which is why we've got these poles here, because they're going to be supporting the sweet peas. I put in 3 slots of sweet peas, but this whole layer here is beetroot. And I've also got a cucumber here, so hopefully they'll survive the slugs and snails, and they'll grow really well and continue to make my space really gorgeous. But let me show you what the back one looks like. Okay, so in the back I've got all greens, and got cabbage or broccoli, pak choy. This one is flowering, so I'll just take that bit off. And then I've got Swiss chard down the bottom, all the way around in here. I've got some Chinese kale in this level, and all the way down here we've got broccoli and cauliflower. So hopefully they'll grow well, and they will give me some produce.
Searching for something that ain't lost. Have we got our lines crossed? We're wasting time on stuff that doesn't really matter, while wishing for something better. I try to fix things that weren't broken, misunderstandings and words unspoken. We fall apart, and I won't dare to say, do you feel the same